Hello, and welcome to Rise with Hanna Olivas, exclusively on FENIX TV. I am your host today, and I am so excited to kick off Women's History Month with the amazing Vera Jimenez. And I reached out to Vera to have her on today because I feel like she is the perfect woman to show what it means to make history. She is leading by example, and she's just an extraordinary human being, and I can't wait to dive in. She is a writer, a speaker, she is a broadcaster, a woman in media, and we are going to talk about all the amazing things she does and how she is making history and empowering other women to do the same thing. So welcome, and thank you for joining me today.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure. Truly, I feel blessed to be able to be on with you and with your audience. I know you have an extremely large reach. And so thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
I think this is the perfect way, honestly, to kick off our She Wins series with you because, you know, I followed your journey for quite some time and just all the amazing things that you do, the messages that you put out into the world, the extraordinary talent that you have in the broadcasting field. I think you're just the one. So before we go on, tell our listeners and audience a little bit more about you, just to give them some context.
I'm originally from Mexico. My family moved here when I was 3 years old. I grew up in Orange County, California. I'm the last of six. I went to community college for 7.5 years. And then I went to Cal State Long Beach for 2.5 years. And then I started to work. I was already working when I was in college in radio. That was my dream. My dream was to work in radio, wear a baseball hat and my glasses, and write for Westways magazine. If I could write for Westways magazine, it would be like the dream come true. But as you know, life has its turns and its changes, and it doesn't always work out the way you think it's going to work out or the way you plan it to work out. And I ended up working in TV, and I've worked in Los Angeles for over 20 years now. I started off as a traffic reporter because that's primarily what I did when I worked in radio. I was an airborne reporter, and then I went back to school at the age of 33, and I started to study meteorology because I was already filling in and I didn't really know what I was talking about. And to me, that felt disingenuous. And so I went back to college. And if you count from when I started to when I finally was certified as a meteorologist, I was on the 13-year plan.
Wow. Okay. That's okay.
Yeah. I was on the 13-year plan. I was afraid of getting into debt. It was the recession of the 90s. I graduated in 1990, hence I'm 52 years old. My mom didn't have money to send me to college, and I was afraid of going into debt. My mom said, always, if you don't have cash to pay for it, you don't need it that bad. And so for me, that meant I don't have an education. I mean, I want an education, but I don't have the money. So how do I do it? So I worked and I went to school at the same time, didn't take out any loans. We were still in a recession when I graduated from college. And I just thought, well, at least I don't have any debt. I don't have any school loans to pay it off. So whoosh, even if I have to be a barista, it'll be okay.
No. So here you are now, a woman in media. And you are with one of the top media outlets, to my understanding, in LA. You are a meteorologist. You do this phenomenal, amazing job every night. What were some of the challenges that you faced along the way of getting your place there and being a part of a world where a lot of women weren't able to be involved at first?
The real struggle for me began when I was trying to get into radio. I'll give you a quick example of what I'm talking about. When I was finally able to get a radio station to accept me, my first shift was from 10:30 at night to 5 o'clock in the morning on Christmas Eve going into Christmas Day.
Wow.
The reason why I was able to fill in that night was because I was so bad that they thought, well, no big deal. We just need a warm body that will work those hours because no one's going to be listening. So if she screws up, no one will know. And what I mean by that is I didn't have great control of my voice. I was nervous, so I spoke too fast. I was a little bit of a runaway train, if you will. But I kept at it and I kept at it. And finally, when I got this opportunity in the middle of the night, Michael, the manager, said, I have something to tell you. And I said, okay, what's that? This was before he told me that I was going to work this ship. He said, I never thought this day would come, but here we are. And I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, what's wrong, Michael? What did I do? He said, you're working on KNX. Actually, no, it was KFWB. And I'm like, I am? He said, yes. And I said, wait a minute. I said, why do you say that? Like, you never thought this day would come? And he said, you are so green and you were so bad that I never actually thought. And I'm like, why didn't you tell me? He said, because if you weren't going to give up, I wasn't going to give up.
Oh,
and
I
so,
love that.
Yes. So the moral of the story is, if you're really passionate and you really want to do this, don't give up because you never know when the opportunity is going to come. And really quickly, I want to share something with you that I hope other people do and understand is that this is a cycle of life, right? Life is a cycle. And we're going to be young and hungry, then we're going to be at our peak, and then we're going to get ready for the sunset. And so you can't blame the younger generation for being hungry and wanting to do it for less than you. I know that because I was that hungry kid one day. And it was really difficult because, you know, people make up excuses as to why they lose their jobs. It's because I'm a woman. It's because I'm 52. It's because I'm a woman of color. It's because of this. It's because of that. It's not. When I lose my job, I know that I have done the best job that I can do, and I'm going to accept that loss with grace. And more importantly, I'm going to understand that the reason why I'm probably losing my job is because now I'm at a certain age that commands a certain salary. And as companies are reducing and trying to reduce their budgets, they're going to invest money in a younger person that will do it for half the price than I will. Is that something to get angry about? No, because it's the cycle of life. Some, companies are companies. They're out to make money. Of course they are. And so I can't get mad at them because they're a business. It's what they do. I can't get angry at that. And I can't get angry at the younger kid who, boy, girl, whatever it may be, like they're hungry and they don't have a mortgage and they don't have children and they're not paying for braces. So yeah, they're going to do it for less. That's just life. So take it and move on to the next period of your life, the next season of your life. Do it with grace and do it with appreciation for what you had. And now it's time to make room for someone else.
I love that. It kind of reminds me of that movie with Jennifer Lopez and Jane Fonda, when Jane Fonda's like this amazing TV host. She's been on it for years. She's met every famous person in the world. And all of a sudden, the station makes budget cuts like you just described. And she thinks she's interviewing this pop star, but really she's interviewing the person who's taking her space. She finds out, loses it, and ends up, and everyone who knows, I think it's called Monster-in-Law, the movie, but it's kind of what you just shared. And I agree with you. I think that I call us season tours. I'm 50. And I think for me, having younger men and women come up behind us, we're leading by example. So we can teach them what we've learned and hopefully save them from some of the things that we went through and give them the best of the best so that when they're coming into their season, they're ready, they're equipped. And then they just pay it forward to the next generation, etc. And I think you're right. Like, getting mad is not really the answer. I think getting connected is the answer. And so, like, with this interview series that we're doing for She Wins, we want to connect with women who of all ages. We want to meet them where they are in life. And the younger generation, they're so intelligent, they're so talented, they have that energy. Gosh, I want that energy. And I want that energy around me. So I think it's amazing the perspective that you shared. And I think it's important that people really understand that, seasons, like what you said, it's totally a season. So with your season currently, one thing that I've noticed about you, especially on your social media, is that you speak a lot about faith.
Mm-hmm.
You speak a lot about health and the direct correlation of the importance of faith, the importance of health while living your best life. I mean, you've been pretty transparent in your journey with your followers for them to really see you in action in all aspects. And a lot of people are afraid to share their faith.
I think in college, I was a religious studies major. So this has been something that has been with me it's been with me all my life. I never realized the freedom that I had to actually share. And being a person of faith doesn't always mean acceptance.
Right.
From others towards me. Others don't believe, others don't have faith. They practice other forms of faith. And religion can be polarizing, especially Christianity, I think. And in this day and age, it seems like something taboo, something that you don't share. But I remind myself when I am afraid to offend somebody that, we live in a free country and I don't ask anyone to follow me. And my intention is never to offend. My intention is always to inspire and to give hope. I think there's plenty of negativity out there. And so being a Christian and being a believer is not easy.
Mm-hmm.
It is not easy because if you really, truly walk and talk the same, it's not easy. It's stopping to question your action, stopping to question your motive. The other day I shared about how trying to reflect what Christ is and who he is not judging. And sometimes as a human, it's not easy to not judge. And you're not judging from a place of I don't know. Sometimes it's just like, why would you do that? Why would you expose yourself that way? That's a form of judgment.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
So it can be even as small as that, like as a well-intentioned, like, no, don't do that. But it's still. And so that's why I try not to be preachy when I post about, my faith and like health. I don't try to tell people, don't eat this or don't eat that. Instead, it's let's find ways to make healthier choices, but to not live this life of, monasticism where you can't have anything. It's like, and I say like Monday through Friday, I do really well. And then Saturday and Sunday, I give myself leeway to have the pancakes, to have the chocolate cake, to have whatever it is that I want, but just try to find a balance. I think is really important. And I think that is the same in my faith is that, sometimes people will say to me, well, it's against the Bible for two men to marry or two women to marry. And I'm like, well, I live by the 10 Commandments. And in the 10 Commandments, it doesn't tell me to judge my neighbor. It tells me to love my neighbor as myself.
Exactly. Yeah. I think you're right. I think everything that you've shared, I find it inspirational. And I think that you give this space where women can truly feel comfortable to show up as themselves, which is why I reached out to you because I connected and I see so many others who connect with you. And so my next question to you is with faith with the work that you're doing, how do you feel as a woman who is really showing leadership to other women? Like when you look back at all of these different things that you're doing, how do you feel all of this is really helping other women to step into their power and to not being afraid to share who they really are, what their belief systems are, to the next younger generation who wants to be, who knows, a meteorologist, right? Um, what do you say to that?
I say that the older you get, the more the older I get, the simpler it gets for me, because I have to be true to who I am and to my path. And you see my posts. There are days when, like, I've got a little bit of mascara on and I've got a little blush and some lip gloss, and that's about it. So when I post, I post really at that moment and whatever's happening in my life. And if it's no makeup, it's out of the gym, it's mascara running down my face, whatever it may be, that's my authentic self. And I think so often in media, with pop stars, with movies, we're told that we have to look a certain way and be sexy and all of this stuff. That is not in my nature. If that's in your nature and you feel comfortable, then embrace it, because that's who God made you. Mm-hmm. God didn't make me anybody but who I am. And so for me, the more modest the clothes, I think the more comfortable I feel. That's just me. That's who God created me to be. And I think that God makes us with gifts and abilities that are not the same. And I think that when you understand what that is, what that journey is, or you try to, because I don't know what my journey is, but I touch base every day. In the last probably year, one of the prayers that I have really latched onto that I think helps me through challenging times, difficult times, sad times, even happy moments, is, Lord, I surrender my life to you. Please take care of everything. And that's not just in grief or sadness or challenges. It's also in my joy and my happiness, because I surrender it to him because he gave it to me. I have nothing without him. And when I know that, I think I want other women to feel empowered. I want women to, like, look in the mirror and say, this is the one body that people gave me. People always say, oh, you have a great smile. And I used to say, thank you. It's not mine. I got it from my mom and from my dad, and I am a combination of what they produced. It does not belong to me. And now I realize that it doesn't belong to them either. It belongs to God. God created me in his image, and he created my parents in their image. And so it really is for him. And on those days when my hair is wiry and it's not flattened and it's not, coiffed, that's God's too. And so I'm going to embrace it and accept it.
I love that. What would you say to women today who are really trying to pave the way to make a legacy, to build their legacy, their business, whatever that is, whatever the imprint is that they want to leave? What is the one thing that you could say to them in the sense of, not giving up, but staying true? Like, that's what you're saying. Stay true to yourself. Be that authentic, genuine woman. But what else could you tell someone who really is having trouble embracing their very own identity in a world where there is so much noise?
I say, stay true to who you are, because while we're all unique and individuals and we all have our own gifts and our own talents, we're also very much the same. And you are not alone in how you feel. And so it's not about being everything to everyone. It's about connecting to your audience. My Facebook audience and my Instagram audience compared to so many other people that I work with and that are out there is relatively small. But I know who my audience is and I know what is important to them. And so I don't try to be all things to everybody. I try to remain true to me. And I know that the people that are meant to be in that circle and the people that I'm meant to speak to will come. God will bring them to me. The audience will naturally, either like you, connect or not connect. And that's okay because we aren't for everybody. Hanna isn't for everybody, but Hanna's for me. And I'm for Hanna, but I may not be for your neighbor. And that's okay. It's not good or bad. It just is.
I love it. It's like if you win, I win.
Exactly.
I win, you win.
It's exactly it.
Yeah, she wins. That's it.
She wins.
She wins.
Yeah. We all, we all connect to the people that we're supposed to connect with. And those that, don't, there's that saying, here for a day, here for a week, here for a month, here for a season, here for a life, or whatever that may be. I know I'm butchering that, but that's just the way it is. People come in and out of our life sometimes, and that's okay. I never begrudge that. I just always thank that experience because I learned something.
And I love that. Yes.
Yeah.
Even if it's for a moment, that moment was meant to be. And whatever it is that you learned, the takeaway, that's yours forever.
That's exactly it. Whether it's a smile, whether it's a quick tip, whether it's a life lesson, you don't know what that is, but that person is coming into your life for whatever purpose. And, sometimes we immediately know what that purpose is. And sometimes we don't know for years. Sometimes we may never know.
Very true. That is so true. Yes.
Yeah. And so for the women that are out there that are beginning their journey, that are maybe, pivoting and maybe starting a new journey, who like me are in the second phase of their life. For me, the second phase of my life is really embracing who I am. And, like this publication that I write for, it's for Christian women. That is part of my second act or my next season. It's as I get ready to exit from media when that time comes, because I don't know when that time is going to come. I'm not going to sit around and go, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? I'm going to look for other opportunities that may fit better in that next season.
I love it. So, and right now, what you're doing, you're on one of the main stations in LA. I get to see all these fun behind the scene things that you share. It looks like you have this loving family, this loving media family. You walk in, you're all smiles. Tell me some of the favorite parts of your day when you're in the zone of sharing and doing all the things with media.
Well, some of my favorite moments are like when Cher and I are in the makeup room together. That's the co-anchor, my co-anchor. When Cher is in the makeup room with me and we're like catching up from the weekend or, sharing our struggles. I'm 52. So now it's like, oh my gosh, the hot flash I had last night. Oh, it's all of that. We have worked together for so long that the other day I was having such a severe hot flash on the set that not only was I dripping sweat, but I felt like I was going to pass out. And Micah, who sits next to me and who has sat next to me for 15 years now, knew that there was something wrong. And he was looking at me and he finally, like the camera cut away from me and us. And he looked at me and said, "Are you okay? You look like you're about to pass out." And because he's about my age and I know his wife and I know that his wife is about my age, and let's face it, you don't have to be a rocket scientist to know what she's going through. And he's like a brother, like my media brother. I'm like, I'm just having a wicked hot flash. I'm okay. And he's like, okay, let's get you some water.
Oh,
So it's those moments. I think sometimes too, the moments that are so special is like when we have the breaking news and everyone is focused and everyone is dialed in and everybody has got a rhythm and we're all picking that. Like I can tell when someone's done and they could use some help, or someone can tell, like one of the two can tell when when I'm in need, or like I've got nothing else to say. So now, it's nonstop coverage. And then it's so much fun when our sports person comes in or the entertainment person comes in and they float in and out and we laugh and it's like, okay, we're back on, it's those moments.
you covered some of the devastating fires that occurred recently, and I can't imagine what it must have been like, one, to even see that in your own home. We watched it from Las Vegas, and the devastation I don't even feel was captured. And I just have to ask, how were you and your team able to just maintain composure through that devastating time? And how can people still support what's happening out there?
You know, I think that's just you learn to compartmentalize when you're there. But I can tell you that there were a few days where, because Mike is more stoic, but like we as women are more vulnerable. Like we would sit in the makeup room and just like cry. I mean, and that's not just during the fires. It's like when we have the mass shootings, when we have all of those things, it's just sometimes we can like wait till we get home. Sometimes we're just so tired that we don't even have the energy to cry because it's emotionally exhausting to stay that focused and that concentrated for an extended period of time and to not break down on TV. But I can tell you that there are moments when we're reporting a story, and if I'm not on guard I'm like in the moment listening to it as a viewer, there are times when like I will tear up and I have to like work, like strengthen the voice and do that. Cause, I can turn away and cheat and, do that and no one will know the difference. But emotionally, like you have to be able to do that. And you learn that's part of the job. But I think also too, you can't let that fester inside you because that's when the health breaks down, the stress builds up. Then, you end up running yourself down. And as you know, like health is a huge part of my life, and learning to balance that is really important. And it's just like learning to let your guard down and say, I'm human. I feel for these people. I don't know them. I don't live in their neighborhood, but I can imagine what that feels like. It's empathy. It's sympathy.
Yeah.
So,
I think the talent, I don't know if people really realize the talent that goes behind being a broadcaster. Because like what you're describing to me is that you do feel the emotional connection, yet you have to maintain in order to be able to tell the story. And honestly, that's a skill to be able to do that. So my last question to you is, what has been one of your most favorite moments in broadcasting this far?
oh my gosh, there are so many. There are so many. I think probably one of my favorite broadcasting moments didn't happen on TV. It happened at an awards ceremony that my mom went to. My mom worked a full-time job and there were 6 of us kids. My mom never remarried after my dad died when I was 3. I was the youngest of 6. So my mom worked a factory job. So if she didn't go to work, she didn't get paid. That was up until I was about 16, 17, 16 years old. Then she finally got a job where she could. So my mom never went to my cross country meets, my soccer games. She went to school conferences, but only when she worked an overnight shift. So she was home during the day. My mom never went to my high school banquets from sports. She never went to anything for me. And then after she retired, I was awarded by the National Hispanic Media Coalition, and she came to that event with me.
Wow.
And that was the first time. I was already in my late 40s. It was the first event after many, many recognitions, winning Emmys, all of it, that my mom had ever been to with me. And that to me was the most special, because I said, in Spanish, I said it in English and I said it in Spanish. She said in Spanish for her. And I said, this isn't for me. This isn't mine. This is yours, because of all of the sacrifices that you made, everything that you gave us and everything that you couldn't give us. It like the reason why I was there at that moment is because I wanted her. My mom only had a 6th grade education, and she always saw herself as ignorant, as being dumb. And I needed for her to see that she wasn't. And the only way that I had hoped that she would see that is if I succeeded. So my success would be her success. She had brought us to this country illegally. She had worked minimum wage jobs in factory lines all of her life. No, I wasn't putting someone on the moon. No, I wasn't saving lives. No, I'm not a rocket scientist, but I'm a decent person that gets up every day. And despite all of her fears, I actually made it to LA working on TV, and it was all for her. And that was the most amazing day for me. And when you asked me what the most memorable or the best thing, it was that, because I got to tell her that in a room full of people, and she got to witness it. And my mom just passed away in August. So I'm sorry if I get emotional.
That's okay.
Thank
But
you.
she won. She won by seeing you win and seeing you succeed. I think that, yes, she did. And now you are continuing. I think that is a beautiful story, and thank you for sharing that with me.
Thank you. Thank you for letting me share it.
What a beautiful, beautiful way to honor your mom.
Thank you.
Well, as you are watching and listening to this, you can see why we wanted her to kick off this series. The women that we bring onto our show are genuine. They're real. This is real life. And I think what you've shared today is extraordinary. And I want to know, how will you celebrate you this month making history? Because that's what you're doing.
I hadn't even thought about that. But, I think the one last thing that I wanted to say is, if there's any way that I can honor my mom's memory, is by honoring all of the moms like my mom that are sacrificing and working and doing everything that they can for their children. And I implore the children, those moms, to realize that their moms aren't perfect and they're going to make mistakes and they're not always going to get along, but they're doing the best that they can. And for all of the moms that were like mine and that are going to be like mine, I want to honor them at this moment, because I don't have children. And so I feel like the legacy that I leave behind is based on the love that I give and the love that I share with as many people as I can. And so it's just to honor the moms.
I love it. So how can people connect with you, follow your journey, and just see all the amazing things that you're doing? What is the best way to do that?
Thank you. I'm on Facebook, Vera Jimenez, and I'm on Instagram as Vera Jimenez TV. And I'm also on X, and I'm on Threads. I'm not quite as active on Threads or X. X is mostly when there are like big news, like weather events coming up, because I think that's more of a news. Find me, you'll find me pretty easily, and that's really about it. I try to limit the social media so that I can actually focus and concentrate and put out as much helpful content and inspirational content as I can share.
And I think you have done an amazing job. I just want to say thank you so much for coming on with me today. And thank you for being a part of the She Wins campaign. We love to see you win. We will continue to support, follow, share all that you do. And congratulations to you and everything that you have been doing.
Thank you so much for inviting me on. I can't wait to see the entire series. I know you're going to have a great group of women, and I just thank you so much for having me. I feel blessed to be able to share. And if there's anything else that I could ever do, please reach out.
We will. And for those of you watching and listening, you are tuning into Rise with Hanna Olivas. Our She Wins campaign officially kicks off with the amazing Vera Jimenez. I hope you connect with her, follow her journey, and thank you for being a part of today's episode.